afternoon, everybody. We just want to say Mr. Raniere denies these allegations. We are looking forward to a swift resolution. We're not waiving any speedy trial time. We don't think the government can prove these things, and we look forward to our day in court.
Let's talk NXIVM.
Okay.
Was this a cult?
I don't view it as a cult. I don't think it really matters at the end of the day if it's a cult or not. It's a successful self-help program. The key with NXIVM, it's really an ethical view. And if I had to put it in the smallest of terms, it's taking full responsibility for every aspect of your life, never seeing yourself as a victim of something else.
But when you look at what NXIVM is accused of, it certainly sounds and acts like a cult. You've got Raniere, who goes by Vanguard. You've got alleged masters and slaves. You've got no men. The women are expected to have sex with Raniere and only Raniere, and he can have sex with whomever he wants. There's the shunning of defectors.
Well, all right, so now there's NXIVM and then there's DAS, and they're two separate things. Because DAS is operating on the premise that for so long, women have calibrated their value in regard to men. I want to make as much as a man. I want to be respected like a man is respected. DAS takes that idea and says, let's take men out of the sentence. Now, the ideas were inspired by Raniere. We don't walk away from that. We admit that. But DAS is a sorority, a group of women, and we're going to have some extreme protocols. Admittedly, some of us are going to brand ourselves. Absolutely 100% voluntarily.
Did Keith Raniere know anything about DAS?
He knew about DAS, yes.
He did?
Yeah,
Did he know about the branding?
I think he knew about every part of it.
Did he enjoy that?
I don't think he enjoyed it. I think that it was something that the women wanted to do and that he thought was not inappropriate if that's what they wanted to do.
He loved it.
I don't think he loved it. These women wanted to be part of DAS. It was a little extreme. It was a little dangerous. It was a little edgy. It was all those things. That's why they wanted it. And I will be able to put on the witness stand woman after woman who's going to be absolutely believable and credible, who's going to say that. And I think a jury is going to see this my way.
Do you think women like Sarah Edmondson wanted it?
She wanted to be branded. There's no doubt, 100%.
She talks about lying there without any anesthesia and having her skin cauterized.
Wait till we see the video. There's a video.
So the defense to that is it was all consensual.
100%.
But just the notion of getting branded. That's it. The audience is with me. Cult.
Talk to all the football players who have a branding on their arm. Are they all in cults? You know what the difference is? They're men.
Did they sit around naked and having to give collateral, personally damaging information before they could be admitted to the secret society where you brand yourself?
I'm not sure how the men were branded. And you know why? Because we've never bothered to ask, because they're men.
Are you trying to make this about...
100% I am. Am I trying to? It is.
So this is female empowerment.
100%. It's
Challenge.
For real. And you know what? And it's the government and the media are coming down on the women of DAS. Women have a secret society. Women brand themselves, and they're poor little dears and they're victims. When men do it, they're Marines.
You know why? Because the women have come forward saying this was not consensual. I was blackmailed.
3 women out of 150.
Why do you have to give personally damaging collateral in order to get into DAS?
That's what they chose to do. I don't know. I've never joined DAS.
Why would they be threatened with the public release of that so-called collateral if they wanted to leave the group or criticize DAS or NXIVM?
They weren't threatened, and they don't say they were threatened.
They do, yes. There are allegations to that effect.
I haven't seen them, and they're certainly not in the indictment. What's in the complaint is one woman said, I was afraid that my collateral would be released. What's significant, she doesn't say someone told me my collateral would be released.
What about the women who have left NXIVM who claimed that they had women who directed them to have sex with Raniere? And that they did so because they felt it was the price of membership.
Their text messages with Keith Raniere as to whether they were forced to have sex with him. It's all nonsense. It's lies.
They're asking to have sex with him? Is that what you're suggesting?
100%. I don't think he really ever wanted to take advantage of anybody sexually. People join NXIVM, and they like it. It was like summer camp for orgasms.
But do you understand the allegation by the government is that these women have been brainwashed into believing that is their only currency within this group?
And brainwashing exists?
Absolutely.
I wish it did. If I could brainwash myself, I'd go to the gym every day. These are choices that adult, smart, educated women are making. I don't buy brainwashing.
As soon as you think that something like this will never happen to you, that's exactly when it can.
Marc Agnifolo represented a really bad guy who was doing really bad things. And I think personally, I think that Marc Agnifolo was brainwashed. I think that he bought it. When he met his client, Raniere did what he does with pretty much everybody. He spent hours and hours and hours talking to the legal team, and I think he convinced Agnifolo that this was all consensual, that he was a good man, a noble man, a great man, and I think Agnifolo bought it. Which is sad in some ways.
$17,000 people took NXIVM courses. Successful people, CEOs, executives, actors, and not because they were bamboozled or fooled. They took them because they got something out of them. There's going to be evidence Keith Raniere had multiple intimate partners over a very long period of time. And you might say, I don't like that. I think it's morally wrong. You're absolutely entitled to that opinion, but that's not one of the charges. You're going to find parts of this case distasteful and inconsistent with your own morality. And that's okay. You see, I don't have to defend everything to win this case. But one thing I am going to defend is his intentions. I'm going to defend his good faith. I mean, this case is a highly sexual case. There's a lot of very intense sexual conversations. I'm really worried about people prejudging Keith because of his lifestyle. I need jurors to come into this with an open heart and listen to this story. Keith basically said he's putting his faith in me. He says I'm resourceful and talented, and, you know, he's going to put his faith in me. This trial's kind of terrifying because the stakes are so high. I feel his life is in my hands. I feel like his life's work is in my hands. I only have one chance to do this, and I just have to do it 100%.
As Agnifolo is crossing the Brooklyn Bridge, you know, he's talking about how Raniere says, my life is in your hands. He ends every meeting with, my life is in your hands. And I was like, oh, that's the same shit he would pull on us. Raniere's making everybody else responsible for his life, for the magnificent, important, unique life that he is. And he's trying to sort of engender in them this feeling of guilt. The thing that Agnifolo is doing, he's bought into Keith's victimization. Now, what Keith Raniere is always trying to do is to get everybody to feel sorry for him. And Agnifolo buys into it. And so he's doing the same messaging. You know, the whole scam is poor Keith. You know, Keith does so much for humanity and he's so maligned. He's a simple, poor man. My God, you know. So I think Agnifolo bought into the victimization and then began being the mouthpiece for Raniere's covert, vulnerable narcissism, which basically is, and all narcissists, by the way, are victims all the time. They're constantly victims. And that's what Raniere was selling. That's what Agnifolo was buying and then selling, you know, with an even bigger platform. When Agnifolo goes to visit Raniere in prison. And the whole way that Agnifolo is talking about Raniere at this point is really that he's a good man. He's a great man. And I think Agnifolo is so deeply fucking brainwashed. It is profound. And that's something, by the way, that we knew even before the trial. We were reading things in the news and we were looking at what Agnifolo was saying in the press, and we realized, like, holy shit, he's buying it. He's totally buying it. He can't see what's going on. It's not like, I don't think it's like he realized this guy was an evil motherfucker and he just wanted to make money. Yes, he wanted to make money, and yes, he made a lot of money from this, Agnifolo did, but I really think he bought it. And I think that during the trial, I think he might have woken up because he has very little gusto at the end of the trial. He's like a beaten man, Agnifolo, I mean, at the end of the trial. He does not have the same vigor that he had at the beginning of the trial.
You know, very tough. Tough to hear. I mean, I don't think Keith committed a crime, but I do think that the jury is going to seriously consider that evidence when deciding whether he is showing good or bad intention. I mean, so far, there's a lot of evidence of questionable behavior, bad judgment, you know, things like that. But I don't know that the government's really made out the charges. My fear is that it's not going to matter. You know, that the jury's going to have a hard time acquitting Keith just because of, you know, kind of the parade of bad facts and bad evidence, not necessarily indicative of guilt, but just indicative of, you know, a radically different lifestyle that an average juror really doesn't appreciate. Can't convict him because people came here and said that they felt pain. That's not a crime. You know, it was just a very, very sad, difficult day, I think, for everybody. There are lots of things that we do to each other that are hurtful, you know. Not all of them, and maybe even very few of them, are criminal.
Now, how do I say this? How long, though, I wonder, did he cross-examine all of us, still believing that? And at what point did he realize Raniere was a bad man and he still head-fucked everybody in court? Man, I don't know, that legal team, I don't know how lawyers do it. You know, because if you finally realize as you're nearing the end of the trial, and there were lawyers that were having reactions, by the way. There were lawyers on his team that were reacting to the things they were hearing, and I could see it was upsetting them. How you just keep continuing is beyond me.